Hello and welcome to our rough guide on Silversea's brand new culinary initiative, Sea and Land Taste, or SALT for short. We were kindly invited along to experience Silver Moon by Silversea, and as always, we have complete editorial freedom over our content, and none of our videos are vetted or pre-authorized by Silversea before release. Please see our description box for more details. Well, what is SALT? SALT is an acronym for Sea and Land Taste and is a brand new initiative created by Silversea. The SALT program has been designed by Adam Sachs, former editor-in-chief of Saveur magazine, and aims to offer guests an immersive culinary experience which reflects the destinations they are travelling to. The program intends to connect travellers to the region they are sailing in by sourcing authentic ingredients which are then prepared with respect to tradition and tell the story of the area the food originates from. With market trips and special dinners in the SALT restaurant, to cooking demos with local guest chefs in the cooking lab, SALT takes travellers further than ever before in destination experiences, bringing the flavours of the destination directly to the table. Wherever they are sailing, the SALT program will be looking for the best producers and experts in that region, reaching out to local historians, cookbook writers, farmers, winemakers and experts of all kinds, who can best tell the stories behind the dishes and ingredients of the places they are visiting. All of the guides for SALT experiences will be experts not just in the history of the destination, but also its food culture. In fact, Silversea's website sums it up best. Adapting with each sailed region, Silver Moon's SALT program will elevate the role of food and drink as a means to travel deeper into a destination by showcasing entire ecosystems around the culinary cultures of the world. So let's delve a little deeper because the SALT initiative is divided into several culinary experiences, all available to Silversea guests. They are SALT Lab, SALT Ashore, SALT Kitchen, SALT Bar, and SALT Talks. The name of SALT Kitchen is actually a little misleading. It's not an actual kitchen and should not be confused with the SALT Lab, which is actually a kitchen. But more of that later. Confused? Don't be! SALT Kitchen is actually one of the two largest dining venues on board, along with Atlantide, offering open dining for all guests on board to experience the SALT program every evening of their voyage if they so wish, without having to book or make reservations. It fills the space where Indochine would have been on the other ships of the Silversea fleet. While we love Indochine, SALT Kitchen not only replaces the Indochine concept, but surpasses it. The restaurant itself is quite large and airy, decorated in soothing creams, taupes and greens, and the venue is adorned with local artefacts, presumably reflecting some of the regions that Silver Moon will be sailing to on her upcoming itineraries. Rather than a traditional floral table decoration, each table is dressed with a herb pot, a lovely nod to the emphasis on the ingredients used to make the dishes. The menu changes daily and reflects the country or region the ship is sailing in for that day. The menu has 4 courses with a few choices of each course. Alongside the delicious foods, guests are offered local wines or beers that are perfectly paired to the food on the menu. In our opinion, in terms of culinary flair, this is one of the best eateries on the ship, which deserves more than a visit or two per voyage. The SALT Bar is not a typical Silversea bar. In fact, this is not traditional Silversea at all. It is new Silversea. This quirky little bar, and believe me when I say little, it only seats about 20 guests, has the magnetic draw of a melted together super exclusive London club and an uber cool basement jazz bar. The sultry walls house an array of exquisite bottles to suggest you've stumbled across a mad Victorian scientist's lab. And that's in fact exactly what it almost is. The bar and its whole concept is headed up by the mysterious and almost mystical Carlos, the top London mixologist, who will fashion you an array of unusual, specially crafted cocktails with the theatrical flair and meticulous detail as that of a Michelin-starred chef, or if you prefer, a mad scientist. The Silver Moon's feature cocktail is called Selene the Moon, after the Greek goddess, which is a delicious combination of gin, maraschino, lemon, apricot, peaches and citrus, topped with an eye-catching smoke-filled moon which sits atop the sweet, devilish liquid. Of course, there are a range of other just as well-crafted cocktails with names like Sweets for My Sweet, From the Flames, Symposia Spritz, Noble Art, and even the non-alcoholic cocktail Fork in the Road. Missing the salt bar during the day? No problem, because Silversea have invested in a rather unique and magnificent bespoke drinks trolley, so Carlos can craft his potions before your very eyes during the day. You don't have to find him, he will find you. Yes, for those wondering about this mysterious genius, he does come out during the day. Of course, the Salt Bar integrates with the Salt family by designing beverages that reflect the region you are sailing. But we like to think that it's much more than that. We loved the Salt Bar. It had a unique atmosphere, thoroughly original cocktail creations, and just the right amount of mystery to pull you back in time and time again. When you're on board, don't miss it. Next door to the kitchen is the lab, which is a kitchen, but no ordinary kitchen. It's called the Lab because it's home to several cooking stations for guests to follow along with the chef leading a cookery laboratory, which specialises in the cuisines of your immediate locality.
So every recipe has a story, and that's what we do here in the Salt Lab. So we're bringing stories, ingredients, a little bit of the flavours of the land onto the ship. That's the experience you'll get.
The classes start with a little introduction of the history and significance of the region you are in, of the dishes you are cooking from the head chef, David. His skilled assistant then explains what we will be making using his pre-prepared ingredients laid out on our workstation. Guests are then invited to cook along with French chef de partie, Cyril, who demonstrates how to make the dishes as we follow along. If the dishes require some time in the oven, this is done while guests move on to the next dish or ask questions about the process.
So these are going to be delicious when they come out. Yeah. The second dish we're going to make is slightly different because it needs a longer cooking time.
The classes last about an hour and end up with a completed dish for guests to savour. We tried a couple of classes on our Greek island cruise, one focused on phyllo pastry, where we made spanakopita, the little spinach and cheese parcels, and saragli, a Greek version of baklava. And another where we made rather delicious lamb moussaka. Helen even managed to get me to adorn an apron for this one. My challenge? To cook one-handed while I filmed one-handed. Both activities really reliant on two hands. Actually, my one-handed moussaka came out really quite well, as did the one-handed montage you've just watched. Once the food is ready, it's time to taste the labours of your hard work before removing your aprons and leaving the team to tidy up the mess you've just made. Surely this is the best way to do cooking. Finally, so that guests can recreate the dishes once they get home, everyone is given a copy of the recipe to take away with them. It's enormous fun. As well as getting to learn about local traditional cuisine, it's simple enough for beginners like me and advanced enough for culinary stars like Helen. Spaces in the SALT lab are limited, but we recommend you try at least once on a voyage.
Of the trip and a taste of Cyprus back home with you. So,
the very first of the SALT experiences happens on board the ship and expands upon the idea that food is a story by inviting guests on board with knowledge and experience of the region and to hold talks in the theatre for guests to attend. Although our sailing was a Greek island voyage, we did have one day in Cyprus, which involved a sea day either side to get to and from Greece to Cyprus. For these sea days, Silversea invited Yasmin Khan on board to share with her guests her extensive knowledge of Cypriot cuisine. She held a couple of talks in the theatre where she talked about her passion for Cypriot food and shared 3 of her favourite recipes which were demonstrated to us by Cyril from the SALT lab. As we listened to Yasmin's talk and watched the cookery demonstration, we were all given a glass of local Cypriot wine to try and a taster of 2 of the dishes that Cyril was creating. In this case, tomato and mint dolma and Cypriot potato salad.
Moist and cool. So keeping the grass high is like having a lot of hair on your head. You don't get burned. When, on the contrary, you always cut the grass.
We also had the pleasure of the Silver Moon's godmother on this maiden voyage, Gaia, the 5th generation owner and manager of the Gaia winery in the small Italian town of Barbaresco. The Gaias have been making internationally acclaimed wine there since 1859, so it's not surprising she is often hailed by many as the Queen of Barbaresco.
And this is my family today. My father, 81, my mother, 68, and then myself, my sister Rossana, my brother Giovanni. We all live in Barbaresco and we all work together.
Her talk about the Gaia winery was fascinating and her passion towards sustainable, organic farming methods was evidently clear. Silver Moon couldn't have picked a more appropriate godmother. SALT Ashore offers bespoke experiences designed to offer immersion that goes beyond a normal excursion, capturing a destination's food culture in a unique and curated way. Many of the destinations have been handpicked by Adam Sachs, who uses regional experts to find authentic restaurants loved and visited by the local residents. If you're a fan of the American chef and travel documentarian Anthony Bourdain like we are, this particular initiative of the SALT program will be right up your street. For example, when we were visiting a beautiful Greek island of Paros, we experienced a SALT Ashore afternoon excursion which lasted about 6 hours. We started the excursion by travelling from the port to a local hillside organic farm where we were met by the farmer owner, who gave us a tour of the relatively new farm, explaining as we went round about the crops and his organic farming methods. After delighting in the walk amongst the many olive, pomegranate and fig trees, we were invited to sample some of the food grown on the farm, or from surrounding farms, all freshly prepared by the owner's family, around this beautifully rustic table setting. We then reboarded the coach and headed back down the coast to a gorgeous little secluded beachside taverna away from the melee of the tourist strip of cafes and restaurants. We were greeted by the husband and wife owners, who gave us refreshments to enjoy whilst they demonstrated some of the dishes we would be eating later that afternoon, including making real phyllo pastry and sourdough bread cooked in their traditional outside wood-fired oven. After the cookery demonstration, we were seated at a gorgeous little shoreside table and served a meze of salads and small plates of delicious Greek food as we watched the sunset over the sea. It was really a truly wonderful experience, with the most romantic setting, the warmest hosts, and the most delicious authentic Greek food of our voyage. He may have found the locations a bit safe for his liking, but Anthony Bourdain, had he still been with us, Lord rest his soul, would have loved S.A.L.T ashore. And there you have it, our one-stop guide to Silversea's groundbreaking new S.A.L.T programme. We've sailed on many different ships before, offering destination immersion, but if you're a foodie or have interest at all in the history or culinary cultures of your destinations, then we've found this to be the most immersive, enjoyable, educational, and above all, tasty initiatives we have ever experienced. There's simply nothing like it in terms of its depth, design, and careful curation of its local surroundings. For foodies like us, it really is genuinely something to look forward to. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you found this video helpful, entertaining, and inspiring. Please subscribe and watch these further videos in our Silversea playlist. See you again soon.